Good morning, afternoon or evening, ladies and gentlemen, all in crypto here, and welcome back, guys, for another jam-packed daily market update on this triumphant Tuesday. We've got quite a bit to look at. We're going to be covering what's really gripping the headlines at the moment, and that is NVIDIA's earnings. We spoke about this going into this week and said it's going to be a pivotal sort of data point to watch this week, because it isn't just about NVIDIA, it's about the AI sector more broadly, and there's kind of two camps. The people that believe it's a bubble, and it's going to burst, could be bursting, and that's kind of fueling a lot of the bearish sentiment right now. Or perhaps there's the other camp, which I find myself on, that we're still going to see growth in AI due to its sort of important role in the world. And I think NVIDIA is a big part of that. And one swallow does not a summer make. NVIDIA has beat expectations significantly. It's not quite at the PE ratio of the likes of Costco, Walmart, that are in the 40s. It's substantially lower than that, I think 20, 30, and there is still growth that can come from that. So I don't think it's overvalued given its importance. I mean, it is the chip maker. But the earnings that we get are going to be market moving and impact the S&P, and why this is all relevant to us as cryptocurrency investors is because crypto, my own personal take, how I'm viewing it right now, everybody is very bearish on crypto. I still do believe, just to show people this once again, that this is just a pullback in line with the other pullbacks that we've seen so far in this uptrend or bull market. I think altcoins has been a bit more of a frustrating story due to them largely just going sideways. I made that comment yesterday. I don't think people were quite seeing where I was coming from, but you know, we take Hedera, for example. We did the majority of our accumulation down here. We rode this 800% move, and really it's just consolidated in a kind of range technically. But I do think it breaks out of this and sees continuation. And we'll talk about BTC DOM in just a second and some of the interesting things that we're seeing there. So quite a lot to cover. I want to get back on track and just focus on the headlines and what's taking place tomorrow. This is from CNBC. Global stock sell-off as AI valuation concerns persist ahead of NVIDIA earnings. A stock sell-off is underway, but experts told CNBC it's a healthy correction. I'm on that camp also. We'll talk about the stock market, which we believe is now in a new bull market. We agree with Mike Wilson, and we thought the comments that he made were good yesterday. You know, we're in the kind of bullish camp on AI, not the bearish one that it's a bubble and a farce and going to pop. And I think it's easy, certainly in crypto. I think the people I feel the most sorry for in crypto is the wives of, or partners, I should say. Let's you know, be non-exclusive here. The partners of some of the retail holders that I see in crypto, because I literally see people losing their mind over this stuff. And yeah, I think they're the people I feel the most sorry for. You know, this is why you should always have a bigger plan. I think with crypto, that because it's selling off, narratives are really hitting, certainly bearish ones, and this is something to consider. It says a stock sell-off is an order to have a correction. It comes after weeks of chatter about artificial intelligence fueled bubble, while NVIDIA is also set to report third quarter earnings this week. Additional macro uncertainty is also leading to investors to de-risk portfolios, according to The Economist. I would agree with that also. The rates, the kind of uncertainty of Trump. He's introduced a lot of uncertainty into markets, I think, with everything that he's doing. I think generally it's a green result, but only marginally. And I think that that's always the case typically when a new president takes office. The first sort of year, they try and implement the policies that they want, that are often harsher, to see things through. But this is taking place tomorrow. Here's another headline. It says NVIDIA set for a 320 billion price swing after earnings, options indicate. NVIDIA stock options imply 7% stock move post earnings. OR ATS data shows NVIDIA AI market leadership adds significance to earnings results. Investors watch as AI demand signals the tech sector pullback. It says earning report on Wednesday could trigger a $320 billion swing in the chipmaker market valuation, the largest post-earning move ever for the AI giant, as investors seek signals about whether the artificial intelligence boom is accelerating or cooling. This is going to be interesting. Very interesting. It says NVIDIA options imply about a 7% move for the stock in either direction after it announces its quarterly results, which are expected following the market close on Wednesday. Data from analysts from option results, research and science and technology services, OTS shows. So crypto doesn't close in terms of its market. It will likely bear the brunt either way, positively or negatively. It could be just the boost that we need to kind of get us out of this slump, you know, and kind of also to put to bed, I think, some of those Michael Saylor fears. I'm not the biggest fan of Michael Saylor, but I don't want MicroStrategy, like a lot of other people out there, to fail. I think that'd be detrimental for the overall cryptocurrency space. And just to comment on that, Bitcoin falls even as strategy buys 835.6 million for its holdings. They continue to buy. They aren't selling. It doesn't make sense for them to do that. We'll see what happens with NVIDIA. NVIDIA is such a large part of the S&P that it is going to make a difference. That will lean on crypto. You guys know it is my opinion. Doesn't mean there aren't going to be pullbacks like the one we're currently going through, that the S&P is in a new bull market and crypto should benefit from that, I believe. We'll talk about BTC Dom in just a sec. To add some information into the mix in regards to NVIDIA, 14 days since Burry publicly went bearish on AI, Palantir down 17% and NVIDIA down 9.8%. NVIDIA earnings coming out Wednesday. It's going to be interesting. I want to have a look at Palantir with you guys quickly. See how that's doing. That made many targets for us, but we actually have higher ones to come. I've got 313 on here. And I think that potentially could get reached. So there's kind of, just like there's two camps in crypto right now, the bulls and the bears. The 4-year cycle's over and we're going into this bear market. You know, people citing the 50 EMA, so on and so forth. And there's, of course, the bulls, which is the camp that I'm on. There's the same thing for kind of AI and the markets more broadly. And I think with uncertainty, what you'll get is hedging until a direction is taken and then positioning. And we're in that kind of hedging phase, I think, more broadly for the markets. People will certainly be hedging the 4-year cycle. We think our macro view, certainly on the S&P, is that markets continue up and that's the general trend, and there'll be people having to get back on that. We haven't even spoken about what the Federal Reserve is doing and perhaps the repercussions of all of that. Also, there was news that Peter Thiel, who's one of the smartest men alive today, I believe, whatever you think about him, has now sold his entire stake in NVIDIA and 76% of his Tesla shares. Michael Burry's entire portfolio is now short positions in NVIDIA, and Palantir SoftBank has now sold its entire NVIDIA stock. We'll see. There's a lot of interest going into this, but it is going to affect the S&P. It will affect crypto. And you guys know that I still have higher technical targets for Bitcoin, and I still do believe this is just a pullback in a broader uptrend. The prior two pullbacks that we had were 32% and 34%. And there was perhaps not as bad sentiment as today. I think the sentiment where we're at right now is brutal. And I understand it. You know, it's been a tough ride. If you think about what the traditional market's about to go through with effectively a bear market for traditional assets, crypto has kind of actually not done too badly in the face of that. Again, a lot of the altcoins we're in, I can only speak for myself, about 80 plus 90% of our portfolio is in altcoins that have really just ranged. Depending on where you bought, you're either up or down. I think for still 85% of our portfolio, we're still up despite everything. And I think that's not bad positioning going into what we may be about to go into, which is kind of the total market cap, excluding Bitcoin, sort of breaking out of this cup and handle, BTC Dom falling. It's quite interesting at the moment because the context of a kind of Bitcoin dominance down cycle, historically, you see dominance down, Bitcoin up, but alts outperform. Dominance down, Bitcoin's up, alts outperform. Dominance, I believe, is now in a downward trajectory, which historically should means that it's a bullish environment for everything moving forwards. But recently, right now, what's happening is Bitcoin dominance is falling, on Bitcoin falling, but altcoins falling to less of a degree. Now, there's a couple of reasons probably for this. One is Bitcoin is more institutional, so it's probably more institutional selling, hedging in regards to the kind of macro markets that we talk about. And I think that's a very interesting take on it. You've got to think that alts got smashed with, there was a lot of retail players that will never probably enter the crypto space again due to the liquidations that took place on a few Fridays ago, which caused this kind of wick in Bitcoin dominance. I guess the bull take would be that this is about to play out. We're about to get real downside for BTC Dom, and this should historically equate with a good time, which would throw the 4-year cycle out the way. It'd kind of align with other technical things that we are looking at. We also are looking at others effectively versus the top 10. So everything outside the top 10 versus the top 10. We're still waiting for a real bull market for this. This is the biggest pattern it's formed. Effectively, we could see some real explosive upside out of this. But we shall see. I do think BTC Dom is now in a downward trajectory, which is historically bullish. Historically, the Bitcoin down or dominance down cycle that we want isn't one where Bitcoin's just falling more than altcoins. We want the opposite to be true, and we think that very much could be the case. So we do remain in that this is a pullback camp, and we're going to come out of this. We think there's enough technical merit to suggest that. We think there's enough kind of macro merit to suggest that. Technical merit in regards to the stock market. I am still potentially looking for this for Ethereum. And we'll see. Tomorrow's going to be telling. Could this be what propels it? I think the markets are going to take a direction tomorrow. I also think you do have the Fed Chair Jerome Powell coming out and speaking as well. So a hell of a lot going on. I know we're not very popular at the moment for being bullish, but we'll see. We've been bullish since sort of 15, 16K until we see reason to suggest otherwise. And it isn't that there aren't things showing up that could accommodate the bearish argument. I still think there's more bullish things than there are bearish, and we basically work on probabilities. And when we think there's more things pointing in one direction than another, we go with the direction that's more probable. And that's it for me, simply. If people want to be bearish and want to get out of the markets, no issues at all there. You've got to do what's right for you. And like I say, the people around you, just as a kind of bit of advice here, we don't give financial advice, but one bit of advice I will give people is deal with things yourself. Don't burden other people with your problems. And certainly if crypto is, I know I've seen some meltdowns thus far from people. If crypto is affecting you in a manner like I see a lot of reflection on kind of social medias and in other such places, if it's affecting you to the manner where your mental sanity is in jeopardy, perhaps this industry, cryptocurrencies, which are inherently volatile, this is the reality of being an altcoin investor, aren't for you. Certainly don't go and burden the people around you with your own BS. That's it from me, guys. I'm going to love and leave you all. Hang in there if you're bullish. I'm hodling. Personally, I think brighter days are truly ahead of us. I think there's a great fundamental story, also a technical merit to being in the markets right now. But we shall see. At the end of the day, time shall tell. I'm going to love and leave you all on that note. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.